I'm Vivian, and welcome to my wedding planning series. So I am recently engaged, and this is my fiance, Jonathan. We're actually a long distance couple, so he won't be in much content, but he'll be there planning and working behind the scenes.
I'll be there in spirit.
But to kick this off, we started out with a wedding Q&A on my Instagram, which got little to no responses, but we'll go off of them anyways.
Yeah.
So we'll kind of start with the question of like how we met in general, if you want to start the story.
Yeah, we actually were at the same junior high, so for 7th and 8th grade, and I had a really big crush on her back then. We didn't have a lot of classes together, but we had some classes together, and I wasn't sure if she knew I existed at that point.
No.
Very little. Maybe she knew my name, right? But that was it. I was kind of unrequited love from afar.
Yeah, which is really flattering for me. It makes me feel like the main character.
But then we didn't really reconnect until undergrad when we had a class together, actually, and we were like, oh, hey. And I was surprised she recognized me and remembered me, but she did. And from then, we started doing little study dates and talking, and we started dating junior year of undergrad.
So 2016.
Yeah, 2016.
Yeah, and so I had a whole plot. I tried to get him to tutor me in history, which is truly my worst subject. And this man, he taught me little. I definitely failed all those tests. I remember I roped you into my dorm to help me study before the test, and you were so confident that, you're like, yeah, I'll teach you, you'll do so great. And I definitely failed that. So, wasn't effective for my grade, but overall, effective for my life.
I did my best.
You tried. How did the engagement happen? And since you were kind of the mastermind behind that, I'll let you speak about it.
Sure. Well, Vivian she helped me out because she was very upfront with what her expectations were. Not expectations, but her vision, right? Her kind of what she would like, what she wouldn't like. So she made it really easy on me. I knew she kind of wanted something outdoors, private, more personal and intimate, just the two of us. And I was kind of also thinking about what she had said about the kind of wedding vibes she wanted, so something more outdoorsy, more gardeny, but a little still isolated. So again, we're long distance, so when I arrived in our hometown for that trip, I scouted a couple of different locations, and I looked, it was Texas in the middle of the summer, so I was like, I don't know if outdoors is going to work, if it's even feasible, but there was one spot at this art museum downtown which had this outdoor art installation with a garden, but it was with walls and with the ceiling. So it was a place that we've been wanting to go. And I thought it was a really beautiful place, and it checked all the boxes. So I set that up with the photographer, and I told her we were going to the museum, and the photographer was there waiting for us. We went there, and I was like, actually, no, let's take the long way around, and let's go through the other entrance, which is when I think she started getting a little
Yeah, because he lured me there saying that we're there for photos, which I was already 30 minutes late because just typically I was 30 minutes late. I did have suspicion, but I wasn't committed to it being that day or anything. And then when he said, oh no, we'll take pictures later, we would arrive at the door of the museum, and I was like, this is the door, the museum you wanted to see. Shall we go in? And he was like, oh, no, let's just walk around a little more. There's the back door. So he kind of drew it out a bit, and that's when I think I was pretty suspicious.
But then we got to the place where I, envisioned it, and I kind of led her up to where myself and the photographer had agreed, and I turned around and, I got down on one knee and I gave my little speech, which I kind of blacked out for. I don't know what I said. And I gave my little speech, and I asked her the question, and she said yes. And I put the ring on her finger, and she was crying.
Yes, I did a polite sob, which I think was actually ideal. I was really worried I'd be super stiff and uncomfortable, or I'd bawl my eyes out and would look terrible in photos. It would be incoherent. I mean, obviously that's not the point, but and the fun thing is like the photographer is actually my good friend from childhood, and a bit from college as well, Stephanie Lamb. And so she actually is from Dallas, but she was in Austin for a bachelorette party the day before and had to drive down 3 hours in the morning.
Yeah, that
and
was
then
amazing of her.
wait in a hot car because I was 30 minutes late. And so, yeah, I think I remember seeing her around the corner, but I wasn't wearing my glasses. So luckily I didn't catch her before like the proposal actually happened, but it was nice to get photos from her. But the proposal was literally everything I could have asked for. And I cried and I was so sentimental, even though I heard none of Jonathan's speech, and was like very disoriented after it had happened. But yeah, it was so amazing and super happy with how everything came together. And of course, he really knows me, so he put together a really good proposal. And we didn't explain much, but he actually had my sister and her boyfriend come fly in and surprise us at a family dinner with both of our parents afterwards. And so that was really nice to get to see my sister and celebrate. And right after the proposal, we had lunch at my favorite spot called 60 Vines. Jonathan made that reservation in advance and surprised me with that too. So all in all, a really good day.
Yeah, I tried to make sure no glasses on,
Mm-hmm.
no items in pockets.
Yeah.
I had no smartwatch on, just, stuff to maximize the pictures.
Yeah, I really, okay, it's also very anal, but I hate it when purses are in proposal pictures because all I see is like just a giant purse. And so luckily he told me to tuck my purse like in the car, which did make me suspicious, but in general, I was like, okay, thank God. Like I didn't want just like a giant purse on my shoulder. We can go to the next question. Which is the question everyone in the world keeps asking me. Were you surprised? And I think that's such a strange question because I think in general we've been dating like close to 7 years now.
At least 7 in a month,
so
in a few months.
I think I wasn't surprised in general that we were like planning to get engaged and married eventually. Mm-hmm. I think I did note general timeline wise, like it would be sometime in 2023. And so I bought 5 nice dresses last summer. And so because we're long distance, there's like a finite number of dates we would go on. And I just made sure for every like nicer date, I'd wear one of those dresses. I'd like put like dramatic makeup on like for all of them. So there's a couple, I think like 3-4 times before the actual proposal that I thought it may occur and I was hurt by my own feelings and nothing happened. And luckily those other times didn't work out because I didn't actually want like a restaurant proposal or like a school campus proposal, but
or a concert proposal.
Or a concert proposal. We went to the Eras tour and I was like, what is gonna happen during Love Story? But luckily nothing to interrupt me and the queen. So it worked out well. I think I was suspicious and timeline wise it seemed to work out. But yeah, I think I was clowning as I did for all the other times before then. And I think I confirmed my suspicions when he wouldn't go in the door to museum. So
that was pretty shady.
Yes. So decently surprised, but also not. Yeah. And the next thing is a little more about the ring. Hello.
The ring.
I do wear it on my right hand because it's slightly too big for my left hand and my knuckles bigger on here.
Yeah, she has like skinny fingers, but large knuckles,
yeah,
especially on her left hand, so it's a little tricky. We're trying to decide right now whether we're going to get it sized down.
Yeah. Or
just wait for the wedding band.
And this is also like a 0.25 size, so there's no in between, like there's not a 0.1 or like a 0.1, 0.5. So for now, it stays on the right hand. And I picked emerald and gold solitaire. I really like gold jewelry. Solitaire mainly because I want like all the money in the main ring. and I think that shows. And so I didn't want to waste any dollars on like any superfluous smaller rings on the outside. And I do kind of like that Art Deco kind of like vintagey look of emerald. That seems like kind of like the old Hollywood
classic,
vibe. It's like what like rich old people wear, and that is my vibe.
That's the vibe we're trying to go for.
That's the vision.
She made the shopping process really easy on me again. She kind of sent me inspo over the years.
I did, but my inspo's changed. I feel like I used to want like gray diamond, like colored diamonds or like colored gems, and then I went to cluster, and then now I'm on solitaire. Yeah.
It's from kind of when she started sending me stuff. I made a note in my phone of every time she mentioned anything about an engagement ring. So kind of for the last maybe 3-4 years, I've been compiling that. So by now it's a kind of a large document with lots of details.
And dated details.
Yeah, it's a bunch of screenshots and copies of text and things like that. And I kind of took that with me to the jeweler, and I was like, hey, I know exactly what I want. Let's just kind of nail down the details. So it was a very quick, simple process, and I had that ready, a couple months before the proposal.
Which is funny because I was clowning at times where like the ring was not even ready, but it is what it is. But yeah, I think I picked just the general like vibe solitaire gold, and then emerald shape, and like he picked the finer details of like the setting and things like that. But
yeah, just like bandwidth, setting, prongs, all stuff like that.
Actual size, so everything.
All the information's out there, gentlemen. Just do your research.
And then we go into the wedding vision, which we can talk a little bit about, but he wanted to kind of bring it back to me to finish up the finer details, because we share the same wedding vision, and we share the same like ideas, and I think hopes and needs and wants.
Absolutely.
But I do feel a lot more excitement talking about these things than maybe you
Which,
would.
Don't get me wrong, I'm very excited for the wedding.
Yes.
But she gets, if I'm, 10 out of 10 excited, she's like 15 out of 10 excited, right? Weddings are her jam.
Yeah.
So she's having the time of her life right now.
I've been like secretly maybe compiling a like 4,000 cell Excel spreadsheet since like 2019. Yeah, so I'm a little more intense than he is, and so it's a little more fun for me. But yeah, definitely equally involved. We call Jonathan like the remote employee. He does like what he can to help plan remotely, and obviously when we're together we'll do like food tastings and things like that, anything that needs in-person help. But yeah,
I'm in charge of my categories, and
yes, I gave him categories, so we kind of split up the work pretty evenly.
Yeah, and I'm having a good time.
But yay.
Part 2.
Hello, welcome back. It's just me. It's just the gals, or whoever's watching. Jonathan is behind the screen, but either way, it's just between you and me now. The next thing we're going to talk about is like the wedding vision overall. So Jonathan kind of mentioned it a bit earlier, but we do really like that garden vibe. Think like Bridgerton-y, think like if we did do a destination wedding to like Italy vibes, like that's kind of the vibe that we want. Jonathan was definitely fighting for castle, medieval, something of that sort. But I do kind of like medieval things, but I vetoed a little harder on the castle part, sadly. We all agreed to the garden as well, and I think the other options that I was kind of interested was like more chill, like restaurant-y vibes, or just in general like outdoor vibes, and then we all kind of agreed on just like general garden. So that's the vibe for the wedding. We would love to have a spring wedding, but it is so hot in Houston, and we hate sweating, and especially in formal clothes, and like like when you have your hair curled and all your makeup on. And so we're thinking about like fall, winterish time for Houston, which is very mild in terms of winter. But I think ambiance, like colors, that kind of vibe, I think we do want a little spring influence, so bright, happy colors, that kind of thing. Let's see what else. It will be in Houston. So we both grew up in Houston, the suburbs. We went to college in Houston. All our families are in Houston for the most part. Extended families are pretty scattered, but even though we're long distance, Houston is definitely the top location. And if you didn't notice visually, we're from different cultures. So I'm Vietnamese and Jonathan is Indian, and so we are thinking of doing some cultural events or like nods to cultural elements. And so what that would maybe look like is we're thinking of possibly like an Indian event, almost like a Sangeet. If you've ever been to one, it's mainly like a dinner reception and family members that are doing dance routines, things like that. And then the Vietnamese influence is a little trickier, a little more high maintenance. If you've heard of like the Vietnamese engagement ceremony or the Vietnamese wedding ceremony, those are very intense. There's like 10 people that have to bring in like golden trays of like a roasted pig and like 10 items of each thing. It's very, very traditional. I don't even think my parents did one of those, so I'm not too familiar in it either. And so I think we're going to pick and choose a bit from the Vietnamese side. We're thinking tea ceremony seems easy to do. But yeah, something around that sort. I am thinking in that regard that there possibly will be 3 dresses at a minimum, which is a very insane amount of dresses, and a very insane amount of money on clothing that will only be worn for a couple of hours. But I do like fashion, and I think it's a good time to kind of pay homage to those cultures in the first place. You know, when you get the chance to kind of do something in a lehenga, that would be fun. And when I have a chance to actually wear like a nice alzai, that's also something that I want to do. So 3 dresses. God forbid I get a little crazy and I get tempted by all of the Instagram ads and buy a reception dress as well, or a party dress or something like that. I'm really hoping I don't, but I am on a kind of shopping addiction kick right now, and I've been curbing myself very harshly because I don't want to overspend in general. So let's see how long my restraint lasts there. Kind of like the structure for the wedding. Like I said, because it's garden, we're hoping for all outdoors or something more outdoors focused. Our venue that we did pick already, our venue does have an indoor area as well, so if there's any weather problems, then we'll definitely do indoors. But the plan is to be outdoors, so like I said, think a chateau in Italy. That's not a chateau in Italy. Think, the Queen's Garden. That's not the Queen's Garden. Maybe you got it. Budget-wise, we're like mid-tier average, especially for Houston area.
Just kidding. We literally saw this Instagram post the other day that called us poor beyond belief. It called us penniless. It called us backyard wedding. It called us literally like cake at a Chuck E. Cheese. Like, yeah, we feel definitely humbled by this dumb Instagram post that really fucked us up. So, who knows where we stand in terms of the industry and its budgets. That is for you to decide and us to never know.
I'd say we're still going to DIY a couple things because there's just some things that I think aren't worth the spend in. Obviously, some of the spend is definitely going towards like attire and venue. We are really into photography and videography, so we want that to be a priority, as well as food and alcohol. So that kind of covers the majority of the larger purchases. And so some things that we may want to DIY are the more like decor, personalized kind of things. So some things I've been thinking about DIYing is more into like kind of the escort cards, table decor, possibly tablecloths, possibly invitation suite. In general, I'm a serial hobbyist and I like love to do crafty hobbies that I abandon immediately after. And I think in my head, if I don't go too crazy, I may try a few, especially on this channel. So maybe I'll look into lino cutting, if y'all heard of that. Maybe I'll look into, who knows, hand embroidery. Like, I have no idea. We'll see what happens on this channel. I'm sure some things will kind of go through. Definitely some ugly phase DIYs, but at the same time, I am just generally overconfident in my artistic abilities, whether or not that's realistic, and I think something good will come out of it. So we'll see where that goes. And progress right now, so there has been a lot of progress. So we got engaged in early July, and now it's almost September. So in the past 2 months, we got the venue down, we got photo down, mostly video, planner, and we're working on the next steps, which is going to be like caterer, florist, DJ, that kind of stuff, and we'll go from there. I do already have my Indian lehenga, so that's something interesting, and I filmed a little bit about the process, so you'll see it maybe in a later video. I also already have my Vietnamese ao dai, and so you'll also see that video. And what's next as well is I have a couple of wedding dress shopping appointments coming up, so that is in the near future, and I'm sure all the girlies are so excited for that. And yeah, hopefully I can film that and we'll see how that goes. But yes, that's all the questions we have so far because barely anyone responded to my Instagram post, and that is okay. So, you know, thank you for joining in on this Q&A, and hopefully the next videos we can see more fun stuff happening.